All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and I'd like to take this opportunity to call the March 21st meeting of the Community Services Commission to order, and Commissioner Porter will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move into public comments. First of all, to report that all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Herron, who has an excused absence to be at conference. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments by anybody?
Yes, Jen Rubiot. She's going to update you guys on
Besides
what's... No,
Okay.
that's it.
Jan?
I didn't realize that was public.
Well, a little typo glitch, but it's all right.
I don't care.
Okay.
First of all, I'm glad to be here, and I wanted to say thank you for putting me back on the Senior Advisory Board for another 2 years. I feel very much a part of that program in the city through that, so thank you. A few things that have come up. One of the things that we talked about at our recent Senior Advisory Board meeting, which was last week, we approved the new logo for the clubhouse. I think it's fabulous. Whoever did the work, I guess you guys have to approve it too. But we selected our logo of choice, and we're all really thrilled about that. The other thing that came up, it was on our, as you know, we have these sheets that tell us what we're working on, not working on, or whatever. 4th of July came up, found out that nothing had been happening yet on that. We had decided to change to antique cars this year, but apparently the communication between here and the people that were supposed to help us, it hasn't happened. So I had asked Loretta if we could have any input about requirements for antique cars in the parade. We're going to go, there's a classic car club here in Lake Forest, and they're having a show this Sunday. So we're going to go down and take a look at that, and we'd like to talk to those people to see if any of them would want to be in our parade. So, but we don't know exactly quite what to tell them they need to do or not need to do, and how many are allowed or not allowed, or whether we'll have any success at all. So if we could get any input on that, that would
A
help.
response on that, to just interject quickly. I, 2 days ago, placed a pro bono call to our city attorney.
Terrific. Okay.
Michelle will hear back from him.
Okay, I appreciate that. Then the other thing that we're trying to get in place, hasn't gotten there yet, is we know that when we get to the new senior center, we're going to need a lot of volunteers there on a regular basis, because you're going to have all kinds of people coming, looking at the city, whatever, coming into the center, and staff clearly won't have the time to spend with the volume of people that are coming in. So we're hoping that we can get that program with the volunteers where they're actually scheduled hours, you know, to be there working. So, okay. And then we just heard at our last Senior Advisory Board meeting that due to budget constraints, some of the excursion programs may be cut in the next year. Instead of one a month, one every 3 months, I think.
So it's the mini excursions.
The mini
and
excursions.
And that is mainly, it's. I think it was a little misunderstood what really is going on.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
the mini excursions, we're going down to one a quarter so that we can use the monies that are associated with that program for the taxi.
No, that was
program.
explained.
Yeah. So it's not a budget cut. It's just
No, I mean,
we're-
a cut from the program.
Yes, we're using the monies, allocating the monies for a program that is very much needed.
Oh, I think it's a hugely needed and hugely used
Yes,
program.
correct.
But, you know, that then goes to one of the things that I talked with Jim and the Senior Advisory Board about is getting a 501(c) where we have the ability to raise money for things like that, because those programs are really looked forward to by the people, and I know we have our taxi people that need that program too. So I hate to see one group sacrificed because of the needs of another group. So,
I've not heard this before, but I don't believe that we could fundraise and use funds for that purpose because it's part of a grant program.
Yeah, so the taxi cab
no, I don't mean the taxi program.
Yes.
I meant for the excursions.
Well, the excursions, the mini excursions, use the buses that are part of the
Measure M.
Measure M monies.
Right.
So we couldn't fundraise to get monies for that. It'd be fundraising to do a
Something
separate
different.
type of trips. It could be
Exactly.
Part of that program, that's totally separate monies.
Okay, yeah, no, I understood that, but just to make sure that we keep the amount of excursions for our people somehow, whether it's under a different program.
Right.
Which would be great. I know that Karen had mentioned two of the cities that she admires their senior programs the most are Irvine and Newport Beach. And both of them have fundraising arms and 501(c)(3)s. So I would like to see us be able to use some of those things in our city, if that's possible. I don't know the differences or how we're different or how our programs are different, but that was one of the things that we were going to look into, I thought.
We did look into it. So the City Council, they had several discussions about starting a foundation to raise funds, and at the end of all of that, they suspended the city's efforts towards that. So they were very uncomfortable with starting a 501(c)(3) to raise money. But there may be other ways that we can do that.
Okay, because I know that a lot of the programs in those two cities are off of funded money, fundraising efforts.
They are.
Yeah.
When it went to the council, this is the third time they've considered it in the last few years, I think, and they...
Any hopes
have-
of reviving that anyway? No?
I don't
Okay.
think, this is the third time they've looked at it, literally in the last probably 5 years.
Okay.
Going to have to do the accounting.
All right. And then the other program that we brought to the Senior Advisory Board was the OLLI program from UCI. And Karen said she'd been in communication with them as well. I talked to them. They're very interested in outreach to the senior centers and would provide us some free videos of programs that they've actually had. And their hope, of course, is to get people that would sign up for the OLLI program. It's a paid program. It's about $200, I think, and you get 6 classes. Highly regarded program with some amazing, wonderful classes. And the fact that they're willing to offer it to us for free is, I think, terrific. So that's an update on where we're at today. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Jan.
You're welcome.
Hey, Jan, just for an update for the parade for the cars, for vintage cars or any of the antique auto clubs, we do allow 12 car clubs into the parade. They all register independently, but they register knowing that they are personally showing their car, and that they're not necessarily, we don't ever have people that are offering to have somebody drive in it, or even like a grand marshal situation. They're very particular about their cars and keeping them in mint condition. So something like that would have to be like a company that you would need to rent. Not necessarily, I've never come across, well, in the last 3 years, somebody that would be willing to have somebody like ride in it or anything like that.
Because, I mean, I don't know, and that's why we were going to go to the Classic Car Club to see if any of those people would want to do it. Yeah, would want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
have
I
a
mean,
friend
you
that lives down Carlsbad, and he's ridden in the 4th of July parade in Huntington Beach, and he
Right.
just does it for fun, and people
Right.
go in his car. So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
the idea came from. So, and then, so if we find people that want to do it, is...
Oh yeah. You
It's
can
not
definitely
an-
do it, and they would just register through the parade website.
through the parade website, but it's part of the scene, so it would be involved.
We would do it with Karen. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
But if
right.
you find somebody, yeah, give us the contact information.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for coming tonight, Jan.
All right. We are going to delete item 2 under presentations for this time, and we will receive the updated Public Works presentation as opposed to one that we've heard before in our next meeting, correct?
That is correct, and we also have item 1, the report from the ACT liaison.
I know.
Okay.
wanted to cover that and be done.
Okay.
Who out of the group is going to stand up, or are you all going to come up and attack us?
Hello, my name is Jacek Obierek, and it is a pleasure to be here representing Lake Forest Advisory Committee for Teens. I'm here to update the Community Service Commission about what ACT has been working on in the past month. On March 9th, we volunteered at the Pet Expo, helping out with water bowls, setting up, and where else help was needed. We've also been helping with craft preparations for our upcoming special event, Bunny Blast, on Saturday, April 6th. We've been given the opportunity to partner up with Lake Forest's Garden Club to clean up and beautify Heritage Hill Historical Park. The event is Saturday, March 30, and everyone is welcome to join. We look forward to seeing you all at the City of Lake Forest special events. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and again, you guys do a great job with all of the activities. Thank you so much for that. Okay, consent calendar, minutes of last month's February meeting. Any comments, corrections, additions that anybody would like to make? Hearing none, is there a motion, please? I'll second it, or both will second it. Okay? Please vote.
It's unanimous. Well, with Loretta gone.
With the exception of Commissioner Herron, who's not here. Okay? Our Civic Center staffing update, the highlight of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Last March, we presented very similar information regarding the staffing and the proposed operational plan for the new facilities. The new facilities would be the new Senior Center, the Performing Arts Center, and the Community Center. And based on your input last year, we moved forward and we basically shaped the entire budget around this information. So this is moving forward to the City Council. We wanted to bring it back just to let you have another look because with the benefit of 1 year, kind of hindsight, and all of the hype around the new facilities, we thought you might have a new perspective. So we will be able to share, if you have any new information or thoughts, we can share it with the City Council when we present this. I believe it's May 14th at the budget workshop. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our recreation managers, Laura Lissack and Vicki Blevin.
Good evening, Chair Rosenberg and fellow commissioners. Tonight I'm here to present to you the single-story and community center and performing arts center. So what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is, you want to do it? We're kind of dueling this. We're going to be talking about the buildings, the staffing levels, and the programming that's going to go on in these centers. The community center, as you may know, is an 18,000 square foot facility, which includes meeting rooms, banquet centers, conference rooms. There'll be 5 conference rooms ranging from 250 square feet, which can accommodate 8 people, up to 720 square feet, which can accommodate 24 people. And then we have 3 configurable event spaces made for ballrooms, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, you name it, we can do it now. Those will hold up to approximately 350 people. Those will also have tables and chairs for that amount of people. We can do 450 people seated in a lecture-style, classroom-style setting for a keynote speaker, any kind of seminar, conference, those types of meetings. So we're going to go through now to staffing levels. And if you bear with me while I have my glasses and read this small print, I will read it with you. So at the helm of this community center, basically our staffing, as you can see at the top, don't get it confused, it's going to be community center and performing arts center, both staff overseeing both buildings. So we will have 1 recreation supervisor, senior supervisor, which is similar to Nick Gates and Scott Stewart. Those are those positions that are held because they oversee a facility. So that person will be overseeing both buildings, the operations of the buildings, and the staff that go along with the building. And we're out.
This one's up.
Oh, this one's up.
This one's still good. One over.
I'll start with the hours of the facility, since we're blacked out. The hours of the community center, we decided to have one closed day. Monday we will be closed for any maintenance issues, things that may arise with the new facility. We will be open Tuesday through Friday, similar to the sports park, which is 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., with the option of being open on Saturday till 12 a.m., and Sunday till 10 p.m. if we have a rental or event scheduled. Behind that senior rec supervisor, we'll have a recreation supervisor, similar to Bill Berry or Monique Villasenor. They, will be overseeing both buildings. They will be in charge of scheduling on-site events, and coming soon, we will have contract classes. There will also be 2 part-time recreation coordinators, similar to a Michelle Newton or Aubrey Gahan. Those 2 people will be doing all the scheduling and the booking of events, whether they're special events, weddings, contract classes, birthday parties. They will be doing a lot of the scheduling. They will be a lot of the front man of what people are seeing and doing the bookings with. We will also have 6 recreation specialists. Those specialists are the ones that will be at the front desk along with recreation leaders. The recreation specialists are the ones that can take cash. So if somebody's coming in to register for a program or need to utilize the ActiveNet system, those specialists will be able to assist them with any kind of money transactions. We will also have the recreation leaders that will accompany them. They will be the ones that answer the phones at the community center in assisting with room setups. We will also have a maintenance specialist, which will be allotted or assessed to us, given to us by Public Works, who will be on site to do any maintenance needs throughout the day and provide any kind of setups as well. And you can see on your chart there, we will have a part-time sound technician. This is going to be a contracted position. It's a sound and light, sound technician and lighting technician, which will be solely for the Performing Arts Center. This person's going to assist during council meetings, commission meetings, and then any kind of theater production or any kind of program that we will have in the Performing Arts Center. Now, the Performing Arts Center, as you may know, is going to be mainly for our council chambers. Our Performing Arts Center / council chambers is going to be a quite large facility, which will be able to seat approximately 200 people in a tiered type setting of seating. So in that Performing Arts Center, there will be a lobby, there will be a ticketing office, a hospitality room, closed session conference room, dressing room, storage, and restrooms. That will be utilized mainly by, I would assume, schools, other maybe private organizations that would like to do their theater performance there that have not been able to utilize a theater. We've already had requests for that. So that will be a very popular area. That will only be open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 10 p.m., so mainly at this point for council meetings, commission meetings, and then we will have it open on Saturdays and Sundays for rentals, which hours will vary. So again, both of the staff for the community and Performing Arts Center will be shared between those 2 buildings.
Look at you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And that is the conclusion of my report for the Community Center and Performing Arts Center. Do you have any questions regarding those 2 buildings before we move on to the clubhouse?
Laura, I have one to start out with, which you mentioned right towards the end, the use of the Performing Arts Center Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 to 10 p.m., and you covered this primarily for the council and commissions that meet, which leaves then for other people right now only Saturday and Sunday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, what if they wanted to do something? Of course, the city events take precedence, but during the week.
Currently, we're only going to be open on Saturdays and Sundays until we see that there's an overwhelming need. But based on our staffing, we've pretty much agreed on the discussions that we've had with budget and HR and the management staff, that these are the staffing hours that we've been given, these are the operational hours that we've been allotted according to the staffing that we've been given.
Which is understandable. Then will you keep or some cases, everybody keeps some kind of a track of requests?
Yes.
That 6 months or a year, mid-year budget review, or working for the new budget in subsequent years, that you can go back and say, we've had these requests, we've not been able to satisfy,
Right.
so we should have funding
Exactly.
allocated to be able to staff them, and
Right.
on and on.
What we want to do between the two buildings, to be honest with you, is kind of baby step our way in. So we don't want to just open the doors and let the lines run free. We want to learn what these buildings look like, what they look like when they're full, what they look like when they're empty, how busy can they be, how non-busy can they be. But we don't want to just rush, open the fire hose and have everybody just,
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
crazy.
At least there's a vehicle in place that
Right.
will allow and manage the trickle of water. One other thing that I noticed with the pictures of the buildings in here, and I'm assuming, let's see if it's this one. Yeah, that said it's a conference center. One of the buildings, the way it juts out, it says conference center, and the other says community center. Is that kind of one and the same? And they just put like an artist rendering sign on there? Or?
Oh, yeah, I think it's just a rendering.
That's just a
That's
rendering.
probably premature, too.
Yeah, these are renderings. While the base complex looks the same,
Yeah.
The signs are
signage was,
It's mislabeled. That's
Yeah.
the senior center.
the one you're looking at, this is conference center, is the senior center.
Okay.
Yeah. And to back up what Laura's saying, thank you. We learned a lot when we opened the sports park, a lot, on how to work your way into staffing correctly. So how to staff correctly, how to work your way into a building, how to be able to work your way through all of the checklists that come on when you open a new building, having to do with the HVAC units, and the lights. It's like building a new home, but a bigger size of that. So when we started looking at the staffing levels, we were looking at how can we have the staffing levels work, and also learn within the building how to make the buildings work for everybody better. Any other questions for Laura?
Thank you.
So now we're going to be going on to, now it says senior center up there still, but it should be the clubhouse. I was talking today to Doug McRatney, who is our IT person, and we're talking about some different areas of IT within the clubhouse. And I was asking him for his, to give me an idea of how much this 17,000 square foot, give me a comparison to something. And he said it feels very similar to being in the recreation center. So if you've gone to the sports park and recreation center, that facility is about the same size as what we're going to be in. So from this here, that's where we're going to be moving towards. And in that facility, we'll be having computer training lab like we have here, but instead of 12 computers, we'll be having 18 computers. We'll be having a wellness room. We have the catering kitchen. We have an area for a Meals on Wheels type program that will be going off the back of the clubhouse area. We also have a beautiful outside area that we can do outside programming at. So we can have yoga outside, we can have badminton outside, we can have mini concerts outside. So the programmable space at this new facility is going to really give us more opportunities to do more things than we do here. We're basically going to be taking all the programs we have here and moving them there, and then adding additional programs as well. With that in mind, we're also going to be adding to our hours. So while staff at the new facility will be working our normal 980 that we work, the facility itself will be open Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, And for now, and same thing as the other facilities, as we see the need, we'll be expanding our hours to go into the weekends and the evenings. But the first year, same thing. We'll be starting out slowly and moving into the new facility and expanding hours after that. So we're adding an additional 15 hours per week to what we're already offering now here at this facility, which is 10 to 2. We are going into the staffing. We're changing our recreation supervisor position to a senior recreation supervisor, so it mimics this other facilities. This person now will not only oversee programming, they'll oversee a facility as well. That makes the difference from a recreation supervisor to a senior recreation supervisor. We're also going to be adding an additional part-time recreation coordinator that will be doing more programming, specific program types. 3 new part-time recreation specialists who will help with our front desk, being able to do registration at the front desk, answer questions, help with any of the money that may be going back and forth when we register people. We're going to be adding another additional part-time senior rec leader, and then 3 more part-time rec leaders to be able to help with all the programs that will be going on at that particular facility. The additional types of programs that we'll be having there, thank you. We're going to be adding in the Meals on Wheels program in particular. To the right, yeah. Our Meals on Wheels program in particular, we're going to be, right now, actually we had the RFP out for that, and we have gotten back at least one that I know of, response to that RFP for Meals on Wheels. We also will be starting our volunteer program that Jan mentioned. So that'll be something else that either the full-time recreation, senior recreation supervisor will be working on, or one of the part-time coordinators will be working on. We also will be adding more arts programs. The rest of the Civic Center complex is having art done by a outside contract organization. It'll all be very similar. We're going to have some in our facility as well, but we're also going to have walls that are going to be left blank so that we can specifically put up artwork that is done by seniors either at the facility, or we can do art shows from seniors that are within the city of Lake Forest. We also are going to be adding some more programs such as a walking club, a gardening club. We'd like to have a bridge club, poker tournaments. So there's quite a few more things that we can do at the new facility because we won't be sharing with everybody else. So I'm trying to think if there's any other things I wanted to highlight for you for the senior center. I think that's it. The additional size, the addition of the Meals on Wheels program, which we've always really wanted to do. The additional new staff to be able to help and support the new facility, and I think that's it, unless you have questions. Mine's a little bit more straightforward. We're basically taking the staff we have here, moving it over, and adding additional new part-time staff, whereas Laura's staff are going to be all brand new.
And I think we're excited also that we're adding about 15 hours a week to the senior center schedule. So currently, I think we're 10 to 2.
And now we'll be going 10 to 4. An additional day is the Friday.
Correct. So we're usually closed
Yeah.
on Fridays now. We'll be open on Fridays.
2 more hours a day, and then 1 whole additional day is the Friday day.
Your senior dances will still run as they do now, 4 to 7?
Yes,
Is it,
correct.
friend?
Yes.
Stay open 4 times a year late? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a request to speak. Do you want to do that now? Mm-hmm. Okay. Heiko Pichel.
Commissioners, city staff, and volunteer. Heiko Peschel, Foothill Ranch. I'm hoping we're still going to get that nice little vertical antenna on the roof of the building. And when they do install that, I would like, if I could be there, to show them what they would like to do with it. And with the staff's permission, show them a nice place to put it What I'd like to do at that time is very possibly donate a radio, a power supply, and all the equipment in order to make that antenna functional. It won't work without the radio, and I did not put that request into the budget. So that's the first one. The other one is a question of more or less of policy, I suppose. Our organization, the South Orange Amateur Radio Association, checks out rooms in Mission Viejo at the Norman Murray Center. And because we are a local charitable organization, we get the rooms for free down there. Would you be prepared to do something similar for your local or our local organizations up here that are charitable organizations? In other words, instead of charging them the standard rate, would you be willing to let them in for free? And it's a matter of policy.
Are you a 501c3?
We are a 501c7. Okay?
Correct.
Which is similar but not the same.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a policy currently that rooms for 501c3s are made available.
Jim, that's what I'm asking. I'm not asking for us, I'm asking for the local organizations. And if they are 501c3s, then if that's what you're going to do, then that would be appreciated.
Under the current policy, that would be permitted.
Okay.
However, we're in the middle of a fee study, and it's because of the timing, it's going to go straight to council. I think it's a two-part presentation. The first part is an overall policy discussion with the City Council on cost recovery, and the second discussion with the City Council, based on the direction they give us in the policy, will be specific fee recommendations. And part of that, this is a long-winded answer, part of that discussion is going to involve the meeting room policy.
Okay. Thank you. Now, just something to be considered. I'm not concerned for us. We have our room, and they let us have our meetings there and that sort of thing. We also support the city with an Aries Races organization for emergency communications, which is the main reason they're so nice to us. And if we can get something like that set up here in Lake Forest, then maybe that'll work that way. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to, anybody else have any questions or concerns?
I have one comment, maybe premature, but I wanted to ask about parking. From what I see, all the parking is open parking versus reserved parking.
That's correct.
And obviously, space is set aside for handicap. I think it's like so many spaces per,
Correct.
if that's not mistaken. Would there be a capacity issue based on the number of activities and other functions as far as parking is concerned?
To be honest, I don't know if we know that yet. I think part of using the new facilities is you see how things work together. So an example would be if someone wanted to have a large wedding, something where a lot of cars are going to park, and it's in the middle of the day when there's other business being conducted at the senior center and other facilities, conceivably we might have to think ahead and work with someone to make other arrangements for parking.
Is there any overflow areas that can be used for parking that is open space or planned to be open space?
I don't believe so.
Just curious.
And I don't know how many parking spaces they have planned, but it should be quite a lot.
Is it double-decker or triple-decker kind
It's
of situation?
double-decker, yeah.
Okay. Very well, thanks.
To make a sidebar comment on that, for events that could have, like a large wedding, as you suggested, typically would usually take place on the weekends, and it might be a suggestion to consider approaching neighborhood businesses that are not there and to use their lot, and as part of the wedding plan, they could either do valet, if they would consider that, or if they didn't want to and the business were amenable to it, to just tell the people getting married could tell their invited guests that parking is also available down the street, next door, whatever you want to call it, as we've learned from the sports park. Oh. Okay, any,
You triggered a thought in
Okay,
my head.
good.
I'm assuming that vacating the present facilities here, is that can be used for anything, or is it going to be repurposed to some other businesses that would move in?
You know, the city leases the facility here, so it's likely that they're going to lease it, they're going to find a new lessee.
you can always come back if you want. Okay. Any other comments on this item? All right. I think it looks good. Good start.
So next is the report for February. We have the recreation report for February, and for the month of February, now my area does not have any activities that went on in February. Next month, I will speak on the Pet Expo, but I did want to highlight 2 upcoming events, not to be forgotten. Bunny Blast is right around the corner. That will be on April 6th. April 6th from 11 to 3 at El Toro Park. And before that, if nobody has ever been to Teen Lounge Night, last Friday is next Friday. So next Friday at the Recreation Center at 6 p.m. So that's fun for the teens. Parents drop them off. They have a good time. They do movies, they do snacks, and it kind of gets the parents' date night out. So those are my 2 highlighted areas. And Vicki will talk about seniors.
For the month of February, I actually have a couple things to talk about. So, way back in September of last year, the City Council unanimously voted to change the name of the current senior center from the Senior Scene Clubhouse to the Clubhouse. So, recently, we've started using that and branding that as we're moving closer to the move-in date to our new home. And so you'll see when you come here now on Thursdays, there's a sign that welcomes you to come to the Clubhouse. We are also using that in all of our print edition, and we have changed the name of the Senior Scene newsletter to the Clubhouse Connection. And that the newsletter that's coming out for these next 3 months is renamed the Clubhouse Connection. So you'll see that in your homes in the next month or so. The other 2 areas I wanted to highlight for the month of February was that we had our Mardi Gras dance on February 8th. It's always one that people enjoy, not just because of the fun, but because of the food that comes along with that dance. And we had 69 Lake Forest residents there that night. And we had a life-saving measure done that evening that I just can't seem to stop talking about. Karen Rice and our Marine Battalion and our law enforcement volunteers were here that evening, and I have to say it's by the grace of God they were here, and the man was here because, as we were told, if there wasn't not an AED available to him, and he probably wouldn't have had an AED at home, he probably would not be able to come back to another dance again. So that really was for the month of February, which I consider Heart Month. Was a nice way to have our dance, but even a better way to be able to help our person that was here that night. And he's doing fine in a triple bypass, but he's still back and dancing, from what I've been told. So that is my information for the month of February, but I did want to highlight some upcoming dates. On the 20th of April, we have the Etnies Excellent Egg Hunt. And then on the 25th, we have the Senior Award Luncheon. And last, we have the Special Needs Resource Fair at the Sports Park on the 27th. So we have a couple another busy month coming up. And that's my report for the month of February. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody? Okay. I have a couple which really cover the first page of this report, with the first one being the agreement with Little League. My understanding, and please correct. Oh, you left. Okay. No, I know. if I'm wrong, please correct me, but it is my understanding that it is stipulated in the municipal code, and I'm going to paraphrase that, in essence, any improvements or repairs or whatever they make to the playing surfaces are in turn deducted from the fees they're charged. Or has that changed?
You know, it did change because we went from 3 sports user groups where we treated Lake Forest Little League different from the other 2. Now we have 30 sports user groups. So in an effort to treat everyone the same, we have essentially a letter agreement with Little League as to what is their responsibility and what is our responsibility as far as maintenance.
Okay, that, because kind of reading this a couple times, it left it kind of up in the air, and I assumed that was it. Do any of the other sports user groups have similar letters of agreement or intent, or?
They don't. And that's what we were trying to avoid, was having 30 sports user groups vying to make improvements that wouldn't work with our maintenance plan.
Which begs the question, if another sports user group were to approach the city, what would be the answer? That they would want to do something similar?
Honestly, it would depend on what they're proposing and the facility. Chances are we couldn't accommodate it. The reason we can accommodate Little League is that we're really just talking about Heroes Park. The sports park is a little bit different. We maintain that to just a really high standard.
Right. Yeah.
Heroes Park is a little different because they're one of just a few user groups that really use that park.
I'm just trying to think that you can see we could get into a discriminatory situation if somebody says, well, we use that also, there's other groups that use that facility, and they've got a deal, but we don't, and
Right.
and things like that. So
You're correct. So in a lot of cities, I've worked in 4 cities, and a lot of times, because baseball maintenance of a ball field is so specialized and a little esoteric, a lot of cities will have a very similar deal with the leagues, that there are certain things that the city would maintain, and then the league would usually maintain things like pitching mounds and the brick dust and the infield and things like that, since they're very particular about how those are maintained.
right.
But your comment is not lost on me. I've actually explored this issue with the city attorney for the same reasons, out of the same concerns.
Okay. Thank you. And then the other kind of question, comment, and maybe an update to give is on the nonprofit, whatever you want to call it, to be named later. I am one of the 3 that is involved with this, and we are kind of at polar opposites to a point. One member is kind of interested, I think, in seeing whatever comes out in the end be literally almost brick and mortar with all kinds of staff and things like that. I am on the other end where I would like to see nothing more than a resource that probably could be mounted on the website for a place where people could go, and the other person is kind of in the middle. She really is not that favorable about making a big thing out of it. We got together in February. We're going to get together again. Probably I'm going to try to do something with them beginning of next March, so we can kind of...
And, Mr. Chair, if it would be okay if I could provide a little bit of context to
Yeah.
the group that you're talking about.
Sure.
The most recent time when the City Council considered the formation of a 501c3 that would be run by the city, they weren't comfortable with it, so they discontinued the pursuit of that organization. But they did indicate that they would be open in the future to a private group that might come forward with that type of proposal. And what came out of that was sort of this breakaway group, of which you are a member. And just to give a little context, that's what you're talking about. You've met with a group
Right.
a couple of times, and then there are sort of varying ideas as to how to approach that or exactly what might be proposed.
True. And again, some numbers with where the three of us came out of, the city mailed out a letter to 277 nonprofit 501c3s who have a Lake Forest mailing address, to include, and some of our favorites is the German-American Mardi Gras nonprofit. Their Heiko is laughing. Do you go to Vegas once a year for the party, or you need to join? And their basically sole function is to a German version of Mardi Gras once a year at the Rio Hotel in Las Vegas. But anyway, 277 letters went out for, quote, a meeting to establish interest. 15 people showed up. So you do the numbers, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of interest from those who exist even in it. And none of the, I would call them significant nonprofits that are here in Lake Forest, besides mine, came. And from that, people who put their best foot forward to kind of vet through this, there were only 3. 4 actually, but 1 has got some medical issues. So we're dealing with a real small interest focus type of situation. Okay, let's see. I think I had one. No, you explained why we didn't have a youth report. That's it. Thank you. All right, moving on to director's comments.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay. You've learned that well. But that's normally at the end of a 4-hour council meeting when the person in that seat says that. All right. We'll start with commissioner comments, and Commissioner Matzel.
I just want to go on the record saying I want to thank, special thanks, Scott Wasserman, the director of this commission, and Carol Ortiz, who always takes my calls, even when I have dumb questions, with a smile. I've known her for many years through the chamber, and she, you'd never know if she was having a bad day. So thank you for your pleasant attitude and your smile, and how you've helped me and been patient with me. And Scott, thank you for everything as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Porter?
I'm really excited to see the plans for both the community center and the senior center. I think there's a lot of good things that can come. One of the things too to consider in terms of like with staffing and stuff, as I know, and I've mentioned it before, my daughter's a part of Lion's Heart, and there's a lot of groups when they're looking for volunteers. These kids need the service hours, and that may be another way to staff both facilities and getting those. I can get you the information on that as it gets closer to the time. If you want like regular, like even with the senior, the clubhouse, don't say senior, to get the kids in there on some kind of regular schedule. They love doing that. They love helping with the special needs. I know I'm doing a reference letter for somebody signing up to be a counselor right now with special needs. So I know that these kids, and especially the private schools, seem their number of hours are higher, like J. Sarah and Santa Margarita and stuff. They're always looking for those types of things to do. So I'm happy to, off the record, help you with that kind of stuff too. You're welcome. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Scher?
Yes. Yes. St. Patrick's Day, as always, super successful. It's probably oversubscribed. And both Karen, my wife, and I enjoyed, as always, every year. Corned beef was great. I mean, I understand that everyone has different tastes, but you can't satisfy everyone. One thought, since many of the special activities are oversubscribed, and mainly because of space here, and chances are it would probably be somewhat at capacity at the Civic Center, if I'm not mistaken, because you're going to be attracting more people because you have more space. Kind of makes sense. I kind of want to suggest that staff look at an alternative way of keeping the overcrowding down to a much lower limit to increase the quality of the experience by having maybe splitting the activity into sessions. Session 1, you reach a capacity. Session 2, you will split the participation, spread over 2 separate sessions. I realize staffing and resources are always an issue, but I feel by keeping the group size manageable, smaller, will increase the quality of the experience, because when I was participating in the last several years, like St. Patrick's Day, it gets pretty darn crowded there, and then all of a sudden you had overflow into a separate room. And feedback I'm getting from some of the folks, they tell me it's, at capacity, and then you have fire regulations by the amount of people that you're allowed into a space and so forth and so on. But I feel that if you look at alternatives of splitting the group in such a way where you can accommodate more people as in the second session and a first session, may be a good solution so as not to disappoint our residents, our folks who are unable to join the group. And secondly, I think from a staffing and resource, I think you can manage your resources in such a way that it would be doable. So I'd like to present that to staff to take a look at, to report back and say, is this a good idea? Is it feasible? Would that help us into the future regarding that? So I'm not asking for feedback at this point other than to hear back and share your thoughts on that. I don't know if that's ever been looked at in the past or not.
We have not looked at that for numerous reasons. The first one being, while we have been to capacity, we've never had to turn anybody away. So that for us would be, if we ever had to turn anybody away because of fire code, or we would definitely be considering a different option.
I understand that, but I was more interested in the quality of the event by keeping the group size small enough where you can increase the experience. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, we'd have to do, as you mentioned, the staffing part of it. We'd have to look at that.
Okay.
And see how that would.
Fair enough.
We're only given a certain allotment of hours for staffing, so we'd have to consider how that would work. But on the note of the note of splitting it up because of the number of people, we've never had to turn anybody away, and that would normally be the way we would, which we do for other events. When you cannot get as many people in one room at one time, for instance, Breakfast with Santa or Snowfest, or any of those are the ones where you can't get as many people in one place at one time. That's normally when we would do the splitting of sessions. So we would consider it, but we just have never done that.
Okay, I just presented it just in the point of knowing how our growth and our participation has increased every year, that it may be looked at as an alternative in certain select events. The other thing is, has there been any update of the starting time of the commissions being considered for 6:30 versus 7?
Yes, I think that's part of the budget presentation.
It's part of the presentation.
It is part of the presentation, yeah.
Okay, so we should hear something back?
Yes. I think that request originated with this commission, and it just grew to include all of the commissions, so I think that there was more to take into account, which is why they're just waiting probably for the new fiscal year to start that. But I think it's something that would be presented during the budget workshop in May for council's consideration.
Fair enough. A couple years back, I think we did a senior excursion at Heritage Hill Historical Park, and there seemed to be interest. I wonder if you would want to consider this coming year to present an opportunity for those who didn't have an opportunity to go to Heritage Hill. There are no fees, by the way. All the fees for special events like tours are waived. And I would host the group like I did before to go through the 4 buildings and the history of the area. So I would like to propose that perhaps to be looked at as a mini excursion scheduled at some future time.
I can relay that back to our staff that does the programming for that. Thank you.
Terrific. All right. And by the way, the park is open from Tuesday through Saturday, so it's very flexible in terms of hours as to when you would want to schedule it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a couple of fun-type items, not chronological or anything. The Pet Expo is where I'm going to start, and when you, I think, do something that involves 3 different entities, you need to get an extra medal of commendation for dealing with them, and that there is no victim count or anything. It was absolutely phenomenal. The weather was great, and any doubt that both people and pets would come to it in droves was out the window now. I mean, we know that. Kevin also, kudos to him, and I think the county, they seem pretty happy and fun to work with. I had opportunity to talk to both the supervisor and Sergio, who's become a friend now, and they were very happy to be here, and they seemed to really honestly like the event. One glitch: parking. Okay? Heritage Saddleback Church was great, especially because they allowed you to bring pets on the bus. They had the school buses instead of a fancy coach. But and I know it was kind of experimental, that somebody had the idea that the other people who would come to use the sports park would, because of their passing by, become part of the crowd. And that's a big wrongamundo. They came here for basketball, they came here for soccer, they came here to do softball or whatever, baseball on the field, and those people come with all their gears, no pets, and then they troop by it, they look as they walk by it, if they walk by it, and then go to the field and then go home. So most other cities, and I know I've brought this up many times in the past, have the city, and I know we do as well, is on the user list number 1, or A plus, or whatever. And when there is a city event, then it is going to be city, yes, and any other groups are told ahead of time. And I think we know Pet Expo, the date, 6 months ahead of time, if not longer than that.
Well, we just had our wrap-up meeting, and we already scheduled it for next year for this exact reason. And I'll take the fall on that, because honestly, we usually do cancel all of our sporting events, but because we had 4 weeks of rain, we kind of...
Yeah, no, I know, I understand.
We kind of made it a little bit flexible for them to still have their sporting events, which was the result of the parking issue.
Okay. Well, but let's just kind of either have an agreement that we do it, or maybe we'll have to look at the council to pass a resolution that says it as a modus operandi, and then they can take the blame when everybody gets upset with, we couldn't have our baseball game that day, or our basketball game, or whatever. But the event was great, and I think that would just enhance it a little bit more. On the special needs side, this special needs networking group is, again, the positive synergy. How many do you have now, Vicki, for the special needs resource fair?
We have 17, and I was forwarded an email today from somebody that's within that group that
Right.
there is a conflicting resource fair in the city of Costa Mesa on the same day at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Then let's have to make a choice.
Yeah.
That's,
So, but I do have to say that this is the second annual for them. This is our third or fourth annual, so I like that we've started this idea and other people are catching on to the
Yeah.
idea. So I'm happy with that. So
Yeah.
we're still moving forward.
Good.
So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, this group attracts, I want to say, some significant organizations and also some smaller and fringe ones, but this has been presented to them a couple times now as a way to look at growing their business and growing their outreach.
And there are 2 or 3
Three.
new ones that we didn't have last year,
Yeah,
which
right.
is good.
Which is great. We'll get some more, and I think Kevin will be a great addition to the whole program, all aspects of it. He does everything really well. The council meeting at the beginning of the month honoring Karen and the Marines was very well done, and they were very appreciative of it. And as one of them who, unfortunately, the fifth one couldn't be here because of his day job, so to speak, and we kind of arranged a private presentation, called it that, when he gets off of his current assignment. And I received an email this afternoon from the battalion sergeant major when he was told about wanting to do that and take him out somewhere on the base for, they have restaurants, set for a meal. He said, his quote unquote, he quoted him, he said, Sergeant Sessa, unfortunately, said, nobody has ever really made a fuss over me, but I'm honored. And, again, a good person. Senior Advisory Board this month, it's hard to keep them down. And, no, lots of good ideas and lots of things coming out of there that do help the programs. One thing to kind of talk about as we start towards the new clubhouse and new programs for 50 plus, it became real obvious to me this year when we went through the Senior Volunteer of the Year forms. That program, considering that we will have volunteers in a totally different capacity than, Jan, I'm just going to quote you, than Jan being a greeter or serving lunch or something, people from within, but we'll have people whose function will be to do something significant or meaningful as a volunteer. I would like to ask that it come before the commission to review again. I'm going to cite one example. There's somebody who nominated just about every year that is, frankly, a contractor who does what she does, and she does it well, for a company that then she's under contract to them, and the excuse always given is, well, they recognize their own volunteers. Okay, and I asked the question this year, does anybody know if she lives in Lake Forest? And the answer was, no, I have no idea. Well, that's one of the criteria. So I would like to, and hopefully sooner than later, when, maybe during the summer or so, that we review the whole process and write some new
Yeah, Karen and I have
requirements
been
or
discussing this.
application,
Yeah.
and that we,
So it's,
yeah,
Yeah.
guidelines, thank you.
On-
And we
and on a bigger note, we've also, I think it's going to be part of this budget process. There is a line item specifically for a volunteer coordinator person. So
Yeah.
we're all thinking on the same page.
Right.
This is going to be bigger than just helping
Yeah.
what we're doing now. So
No, it's-
perfect timing.
we're moving forward now. A couple of dates I had brought up earlier, the idea of redoing what we did 2 years ago, that softball tournament. And according to Bill, the best dates are August 3rd or August 24th. So I would like to, I say, put it, since he did the whole thing last year, put it at his discretion to pick a date of those two?
Yeah, I'll send him an email tonight.
Okay, cool. And the other one, we are going to try, we've been trying this for a while, to get the battalion up for a field day, as they call it, where they could do something like just, got enough fields here that they could use and do a barbecue for them or something like that. Again, depending on what happens, if they're, like half of them are now down at the border living in tents and good stuff like that. Get to shower once a week, by the way, whether they like it or not. And then they get a week where they have showers. So, Scott, you talked about the fee schedule. I had a question about it. It looks like it's coming back in 2 segments then. They're going to look for direction. Could we ask for at least then maybe a preview of our part of it? I mean, I'm not that concerned with something that once the council has given them direction and they use it before the quote, I'm sure they'll give them a month or something, before they come back, that we could see the parts that affect us, just to kind of get a feeling about it?
I will try to facilitate that. I think it's supposed to go, I want to say the second meeting of April, it goes to the city council. I haven't seen it myself.
Yeah, I mean, for the purposes of this is it, or just direction?
The first meeting will be, I think, direction, the policy discussion about fee recovery and what their expectations are, the percentage of recovery that they're looking for. That's really going to drive the fees, and that would be the second meeting where I think they're going to present, based on your direction in the last meeting, these are the fees that we recommend.
If we could maybe before that, since hopefully they give more than 2 weeks, let's put it that way.
I will, let me try to make that happen.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. Portola Park, kind of an update as to will we see it in our lifetime or no?
You will. I certainly hope you'll see it in your lifetime. I know for sure that we're committed to starting construction this year. My understanding, I know based on conversations I had just today, is that Public Works is preparing to put that out for bid.
Okay. And Peachwood is going to go to contract this coming month then?
Peachwood contract has actually, it's been approved. It was approved at the last meeting that you missed last Tuesday, and that actually came in a little bit under budget. I think the budget for that park was $250,000. I believe it came in around $184,000. So that, money saved that we can use for something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then kind of last but not least for tonight, based on some output from the last senior board meeting, would it be possible to arrange a hard hat tour of the Civic Center for the people on the senior board and for people on this commission?
I did look into that. I ran into Jan last week, I think it was. I did look into that. It's probably going to be late summer when we can start doing the hard hat tours. Right now, they're pretty stingy on the tours.
Okay.
I think I've had one tour, and that was about it. But they're planning on doing that in late summer.
Yeah. I mean, we can.
Not so active of a construction. It's still a very active construction site.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can bring my own hard hat.
When is it scheduled for opening?
Between September and October. So far, it looks like we're still on schedule for September. We've had some rain. It really just depends if we have more rain.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Everybody's looking tired. In that case, unless anything further, I declare this meeting adjourned. And we will meet the third Thursday of next month, same place, same time.